Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco, Dish It on the Movies, and we are doing episode 4, Cakes on a Plane or Cake on a Plane of Buddy Valastro's Cake Dynasty series. So, what do we have here today? We have a few issues, and that's one is they make a big cake for somebody. And another issue is their vending machine business, which Buddy's wife takes care of, and she has found it to be a little bit more complicated than it is when you just get something out of a vending machine. You pay the money, you press the button, and it comes out. Well, there's a lot more to it than just that. And she's learned, and she's kind of had a hard week. So, anyway, what should we start with today? Oh, yes, and there's also the issue of the oldest son, Buddy Jr. He is on his second week of like an apprenticeship training.
Internship.
Well, that too. Internship.
Well, that's what Buddy's calling it, so.
Yeah, but it's a little bit of both. And,
well, it's sort of like if anybody got to do what he's doing, they would feel really, really lucky to be able to do that. I feel like, he's getting to do something that, like, if a normal person just signed up for an internship at their bakery, I don't think they'd be able to do what he's doing. So I think that, he's very lucky to be getting this personalized training and, because they put him right where he needed to be, too. They put him in the cake making area. And that's what I said from the beginning. And then so, he was doing well the whole episode because that's what he wants to do.
And today this week, for this episode, he was actually in on the whole thing they did a consultation with the client.
Yeah.
And so he had to work it out with his father, what they're going to do about this cake. And then you meet with the team. And you decide, what's going to be on the cake and how they're going to get the cake to the place. And that's where the title of the episode comes in.
This week, so for me, this episode, I haven't given it a letter grade review yet, but overall, like, it really reminded me of, like, those movies and episodes where, like, the main character brings their kid on their adventure with them. Like in like a superhero movie where like you have the superhero movies where they're all by themselves and then you have the later ones where they're bringing their kid along. Like that's what this episode felt like in a good way. Because it was fun to kind of see a Cake Boss episode where Buddy Jr. was very involved in it. That was fun. Right?
Yep. And he actually, for the decor on the cake, he was in on that. He did they have the woman, what's her name? Well, we call her Velma, the artist, and he actually worked with the artist to put the, what would you call it, handmade decor on the cake. So like the it's like a stamped out decorations that you'd stick on the cake. And then there was painting they had to do with edible paint. And then there was also, he had to steam a little bit of the cake in order for it to be moist so they could get the decorations on the cake. And then this is very important too. This is a cake that has a base, and then it will have a big trophy on it, plus all these other decorations like medals.
And who's the cake for, Safi? The cake is for the Best Buddies organization.
And it is founded by Anthony Shriver, or the Shriver family, like the Kennedy Shriver family. And remember, they have done work with people who have intellectual and developmental disabilities for years.
I really think that besides doing this Best Buddies thing, he should really get to work on who really killed JFK. because we still don't know, and that is very important as well. And then Buddy could make a cake for that too.
Marco, don't be a dip. They have people working on that. This is the Shrivers.
Who?
They are well known for like working with the Special Olympics, and this is just another organization. This kind of helps people to get emotional and employment support when they're adults.
Yeah, it was cool because some of the people in there, they mentioned that they were in that movie Champions, and I thought that was cool because, that's one of the better movies that came out this year. Of course, Safi hasn't seen it because she doesn't like watching movies with those types of people.
What the hell? That's a bullshit lie.
I'm just kidding.
Oh,
but,
God.
There are certain movies that she's just like, yeah, I'm not watching that. I'm not watching Napoleon. I'm not watching that. I'm not watching
I didn't know
that.
anything about it. I'd never heard of it. Never heard of it.
You saw someone else watching it in the other room, though.
Really?
Earlier this year.
I didn't know that.
With Woody Harrelson.
Watches
with basketball.
Everything.
The basketball movie. And I thought that was actually pretty good. It's a terribly written movie, and it's very cliched. It has every cliche in movie history. But it's a very entertaining movie, and to watch like once in a blue moon. So, I thought that was kind of funny. Safi, what do you have to say besides F you?
Oh, brother.
Marco.
So anyway, but another thing they have to consider with this cake is the height and the width. And it's not like they never have to consider that, which they do. But the problem is, it's in Hyannisport. And that, of course, is, by the sea. It's the big, famous Kennedy place. And they're having a clam bake there, so you do that on the beach. And then they want the cake for dessert. So Buddy knows somebody who flies seaplanes. So he wants to bring in the cake on a seaplane.
I thought that was the stupidest thing.
Well, the boys, Marco and Buddy Jr., were not really on board with it either.
Yeah, the other Marco. I just thought, like, really? Like, why? There's no point to it at all. It's just to show off, or it's just to do it. So I thought that was really stupid. And it was probably my least favorite thing about the episode, because I feel like, why do that unless you have to? Because they created all this extra strain and worry that they had while making this cake and then delivering it, that it wasn't necessary. Like, the only difference that it made is that at the event, the guy speaking was like, this cake was delivered in a variety of ways. Isn't that cool? And it's like, no, it'd be cool if the cake was good, but I don't give a fuck about how it was delivered. Like, I wouldn't care if a spaceship delivered my cake to my house. Like, who cares? Like, I want to eat the cake. I don't care how it's delivered.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Would you care? Would you care if, like, JFK came back from the dead and his ghost delivered you the cake? Like, who gives a fuck? Like, I want to eat the cake. I don't give a fuck how it's delivered.
Well, anyway, the door to the plane is 4x4. At least that's what Buddy had figured. I don't know how he did it, if he went there and measured it himself, he saw some literature, I have no idea. But when he was talking to they had already made the cake, and they had to put a rod through the middle, which it was not big enough. And Marco actually figured out how big it would be, and he also screwed it in there, and he saved the day. They were all very impressed because he did it on the first try.
Yeah.
And so that was very important to have that, because it's because of that, for one thing, they're being on that plane.
Well,
it's
I thought
seaplane.
In general they were great this episode, both the kids.
Yeah.
Even though Sophia wasn't there to, give you her roast beef, Buddy Jr. and Marco did a good job.
They did. And anyway, but when he called the guy, he wanted to confirm about the plane and the measurements. And the guy swore up and down it was 4 feet tall and 2 feet wide, not 4 feet wide. And he was about to have a breakdown because they would have to actually chop the cake in half because it would be too big to go through there. And so then the guy said, "Oh no, wait a minute, you're right." And so that was saved because it was a little bit pressurized at first.
There was also a funny thing that happened while they were making it, where Buddy Jr. kept on steaming the cake, and his father said, like, "Stop steaming it, because if you steam it too much, the paint is going to run, and we're not going to be able to paint it." And he kept on steaming, and the dad was like, "I said no steam!" And Buddy Jr.'s like, "It's going to work." And it was really hilarious, because it's like another moment where he kind of like back-talked him, and then Buddy had the face that he always makes, where he's like, like which people on YouTube, when they see clips of Buddy doing that, they call it the confused Pikachu face. Because he looks like Pikachu when he's got his mouth open, like, because he's in shock, because, like, obviously he can't do very much because it's his son. Whereas if somebody else acted like that, they'd be fired or whatever, right?
Yeah, but I don't know.
Wasn't that
because
funny?
That actually comes up in another part of the episode, which has nothing to do with the cake. Okay, then we come, and that will lead us into the next part of the episode, because there's two main parts.
So yeah, we can finish this plot and go to the other plot.
It's making who the cake is for, where it's going to go, and how it's going to go, and how it's made, and then the delivery. And then we have the other part of the episode, which has to do with his wife and her vending machine business. Now they have, it looks like...
let's finish the first plot first.
Oh, okay.
So they deliver it there, and
everything's fine
on the plane, and the whole time I was watching that, I was just like, this is so unnecessary.
And the boys even said that multiple times too.
Yeah.
They did not like it, and Marco especially has motion sickness on the plane, and so they had a little bit of jostling, or I think it was they were beginning to land.
I was kind of hoping that he'd throw up all over the cake.
Well, his father was worried he was going to throw up all over him.
And then Buddy would have to clean it all off the cake and pretend like it never happened. Like, that would have been hilarious.
Well, the cake was way behind them, and that was never going to happen.
Well, it would have been funny, though. Or, like if they were in a spaceship and they didn't have any gravity, and the puke just, floats in the air and it goes to the cake and gets all over it. Like, that'd be hilarious.
Oh, boy.
And then he's got to clean it up and cover it up like they covered up the JFK assassination.
Oh, God.
Covered up what really happened. So anyways, they deliver the cake, and they have a good time. And, there's nothing really more to say with that. Right, Safi?
Yeah. Not really. I mean, it got there safely, because what happened was, it was a seaplane, and they were in the water taking off. But when they landed in an airport strip. So it was, they didn't land in the water and then come floating up to the, some dock or something, I was really worried. So the next part of the episode is a little bit more, what would you call it?
Funny.
But it's also, God, I don't know what, not good. It's the wife and Lisa, and she has this vending machine business as part of it's becoming a big part of their business. And they sell, I believe it's just cake slices. They sell cake slices in these vending machines, and so you put in some money and you say which one you want, you press the button, and out comes the slice.
But you see that type of stuff in, like, Japan a lot. Like, they have videos all over the place of, like, you can get all these, like, ready-made desserts and things in Japan in these vending machines. Right?
Yeah, they do. I've seen that.
And so, there's a family member named June, and he is working as, like, a vending machine delivery driver. And what happens with that, Safi? What happens with June?
Things happen.
What's the first thing? The thing that leads to a 50% profit loss.
I don't know what happened exactly. All I heard, I heard that
he unplugged the he didn't plug in the vending machine.
Okay.
So it wasn't able to work.
It isn't just a matter of delivering the vending machines. You have to make sure they're working and plug them in.
He never plugged it in.
And there's something else you have to do too, which I didn't quite understand. So there's a little bit more to it than putting some money in and pressing a button and something comes out. There's a little bit more, and he didn't plug them in, and they lost of that round of vending machines that he delivered. They lost 50% of the product.
Yeah.
50% of sales. That's a lot. And this is what I was talking about last time. He says, I wrote this down too, and I think Marco probably he's got a better memory than I do.
Well, he does say at the beginning of every episode that, like, if you work with your family, nothing will go wrong.
Well, no, he didn't say
or something
that.
Like that. Or
even if they do something bad, you stand up for them, or you stand for them. Oh, wait. You don't get rid of family. You
take
help
care
family.
of them. No, he said you take care of them.
Well, no, this is his exact quote.
No.
In this episode. He
really?
said that. Yeah, you don't get rid of family. You help family.
Oh, okay.
In June, we might say it a different way in another episode.
Well, because I feel like if you said...
it down. That's why I write everything down.
If you said take care of family, it could kind of imply that they'll be sleeping with the fishes. You take care of them.
I don't think so. But that is 50% of profits. That's a lot.
And I felt like that was kind of a hypocritical thing to say because he did fire his own sister.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
And he actually did the same thing as she did in terms of public relations, because also, not only that, they got a telephone call. And somebody complained about when he was driving, he was flipping off other drivers or something. And she's like, oh, he's representing their bakery business. And she can't have that. They can't have that completely. That's just wrong. And so she brings this up at this meeting. And so she said he just needs more training. And he'll be able to do it. But, this is the problem. When you have family business, you can get ripped off by members of your family.
Yeah, like sometimes Safi tries to rip me off with her bad reviews.
Oh, brother.
Right?
No, not really. But anyway, so she had to have a talk with him. She brought him into the office and had a talk. And then they also had
she had the talk with him.
Oh, God. So then she hired more drivers because she really wants to get this business expanded. And she's going to have at least 3. Last week she did an interview, and this is where Buddy Jr. was in on it. And it was a firefighter that they know, and apparently firefighters, they'll do other part-time work to bring in more income. And so they hired a total of 3. And so she had to have a meeting with them about, everything about delivering, but also setting up the machines. And about how they work and how, what to look for, like if something goes wrong. And they actually went to a machine that they have that was not working.
Yeah.
And I was not really sure what was going on there. I can't explain. I don't know if Marco can or you even care. But it was not working. And so she was kind of like using that as an example.
And there was something about like June was not
something.
able to reach something or something, and so he said, "I'm not tall enough." And she's like, "Then you need to tell me, and I'll get you a stepping stool." And he's like, "Dee, dee, dee." And so that was, so he basically, it was kind of like, poor June. He's the misfit of the family.
Yeah.
And of the vending machine business going on.
But he's happy about doing it. He says, "Oh, I'm really meant to be a delivery driver."
And then he just flicks you off.
Yeah, he was really happy. So that was that part. And then they said also, but they didn't talk about it much at all, that they're going to expand their bakery. And so I don't know much. They just didn't say much more about it.
That means that they are going to war with other rivaling gangs and bakeries, and with gangs that are in the bakeries too. So we're gonna see some gang shootouts and stuff.
Marco, what are you talking about?
For
That's just BS.
For the territory that they can put a bakery in. We want to put a Carlos bakery here. Right? That's how you take over territory in Godfather land. I'm gonna make you a deal you can't even handle because you're gonna be dead. Okay, son, let's go make cake.
So, basically, that's the whole episode. And
Yeah, very simple, but I really liked it. I give it an A.
yeah, I will too. And his father talks at the end how he's really proud of his son. He thinks he's doing a really good job.
Well, I'm just curious to know is like, because how many episodes is going to be in the season? Because I don't even know. Like, is it going to be 16 like the old Cake Boss show or what? And then also, like, is this going to lead anywhere? Like, because you have, like, kind of like a storyline here where Buddy Jr. is becoming Cake Boss Jr. And, like, is it going to lead somewhere? Or is it just going to be, like, every episode is just business as usual? Right? You know what I mean, Safi?
Yeah.
What?
No, I'm not feeling well.
Really?
Okay,
I'm not feeling well either because I have to watch that Feminazi Black Christmas remake. That'll make anyone feel terrible. Feel like they want to jump off a cliff and eat fruitcake at the bottom.
yeah.
What'd you give it, Safi?
I told you, I gave it an A.
Okay.
I thought
So?
it was really short and sweet. They like edited what the problems were. I thought, like Marco, that you taking it on that seaplane was a little excessive, and it was almost like you wonder if they wanted him to, the show wanted him to do that in order to spice things up.
Well, if it was necessary to the cake, then that would have been fine. Like, if it had something to do with it, like maybe that was the cake or something, or it was for some organization that had something to do, but it had no correlation at all.
No.
Well,
Okay, so anyway, if you want to become one of our subscribers, you're more than welcome. And please give this video a thumbs up. We would appreciate it. Thank you very much. Bye.
bye.